Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining me again. This is Dr. Stephen Walker doing my twice a week mental health live stream here. And we're having all kinds of technical issues tonight. So we'll just go with what we have because life ain't perfect. So tonight we're going to talk about how to work on our self-talk, how to manage our self-talk. And again, remember, everything that I do, everything that I'm trying to do is to try to show everybody different things that affect our mental health, our mental illness, whatever it may be. This is my attempt to normalize conversations about mental health and mental illness so that we can all work on our issues, so that we can all deal with how we're feeling, and we can have a world where maybe we're not as in such internal conflict, and then that's coming out in the external world around us. So let's talk a little bit about my mental health fund, helpahuman.org. Okay, remember, it's a fund you can donate into where I can draw from to help people who can't afford treatment. Why is that important? I get many requests for mental health treatment, work, and I don't know if people expect me to just kind of give away my services. I'd love to be able to. If the fund gets big enough, who knows? Maybe I will. Maybe I'll be able to not have to charge people. Until that happens, you can donate into this fund and you can help a human. Okay? I want to remind everybody I'm on Tuesday and Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern and all the way down to 6 p.m. On the West Coast. You can please subscribe to, if you're catching this for the first time on YouTube or Facebook, please subscribe and follow me. There's a lot of content on my YouTube page, a lot of things up there that have been up there for a while that you might have heard in other places recently. Interesting coincidence. So let's talk about the topic for tonight, which is how to work on our self-talk. I posted a little meme on Bruce Lee, and he was talking about how you should never talk badly about yourself, and that basically the internal world that you have is one of the most important worlds. Well, my take on it was that one of the worlds, the most important world you have. Hey, Sam, hopefully we're not going to have the same glitches we had Tuesday night. I'll tell you, that was really, really annoying. But here we are. So remember, please ask a question, make a comment. If you'd like to talk about a totally different topic, suggest a topic tonight, and we'll shift gears into that. If there's something on your mind that you want to talk about, if there's something you've always wanted to get maybe some mental health advice on, or some practical strategies to deal with certain things you're dealing with, or how to move forward with a certain topic, remember, I am not a researcher. I'm not a lecturer. I mean, I do, but I mean, I'm a practicing mental health professional. Every day I'm working 7, 8, 9 hours a day, trying to help people with their mental and emotional suffering. So if there's something going on with you that you want some advice on, or some thoughts on, or whatever, feel free to talk about that. Great, Penny. I'm glad you like the topic. So let's talk a little bit about self-talk and how to manage our self-talk. Why is self-talk important? Some people may never even heard of the concept of self-talk. Self-talk is basically exactly what it sounds like. How you talk to yourself, how you relate to yourself, the thoughts and emotions that you're keeping in relation to yourself and other people. So let's start with the basics, okay? Self-talk. The idea of talking to oneself, unfortunately, has a lot of negative connotations because a lot of people are not comfortable with that self, that inner presence. Some people talk in the first person, some people talk in the third person, some people talk in forms of I, some in me, some in you. It's really what you're comfortable with. But basically the bottom line is you need to get comfortable talking to yourself. You need to get comfortable talking with yourself the way you would talk to somebody you care about. People don't understand that how we relate to ourselves, and you've heard me say it since I started these live streams, your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship you have. If you're talking to yourself, if you're treating yourself in a certain way that you wouldn't talk to somebody else, then odds are you're not going to have very good interpersonal relationships if your intrapersonal relationship, your relationship with you, is flawed. And you can look all this up if you want to check out one of my websites. It's intrapersonalpsychology.com, wiseit.com, because I've been talking about this for years with clients, how to better relate to yourself. So let's hone in on self-talk. Negative self-talk. Oh, I'm such a loser. I'm never going to be able to do this. Oh my God, I can't believe this is going to happen. You know what? If that happens, I can't deal with this. If she says that, I'm going to lose it. If this person dies, I'm going to go in a mental hospital. If I can't if my boss says that to me, I'm going to what? All of that internal negative machinations in our mind, that negative self-talk is affecting how you feel. It's affecting your hope. It's affecting your future. It's affecting your ability to feel that you are a lovable, likable human being. Now people might ask, well, how the hell does that get there? Well, again, if you've watched any of my live streams, you know that I'm a big proponent that we are not working on the roots of how these things get into us. Most negative self-talk, and I hate to say all, because I can't really make blanket statements like that, because that's completely unprofessional to make blanket statements about human behavior and the human mind. Oh, wait a minute, that's all over the internet. Anyway, sorry. Because you can't make statements like that, but most, if not all, of negative self-talk originated in early childhood trauma, early relationships that we had that put these things in your mind, like you're not worthy, you're never going to be good enough, nothing you do will ever gain the love or the acceptance of somebody. Pressure, pressure, pressure. I was talking to somebody today who didn't even realize how he had been parentified. What's parentification? Put in a role of parent way too early as a child and given adult responsibilities that you really cannot handle. If you're watching this live, please share this on your timeline. Please work on being okay with that you're watching a mental health live stream, because there's nothing to be ashamed of with your mental health. There's nothing to be ashamed of. That we all have, everyone has issues, okay? Most negative self-talk originates in how you were treated as a child, okay? How you treat yourself is a mirror of how you were treated when you were younger. Whatever pressure that was put upon you is now how you relate to yourself. And Penny is saying, I do this way too much. We'll talk about that, Penny. What do you do? Give me an example of some of the negative self-talk that's going on inside of you. Negative self-talk is manageable, okay? Negative self-talk is manageable. Depending on your level of trauma, depending on the level of what you're hearing and feeling within you, it's not generally going to be solved by reading a book or going to a seminar. Those are good things. You're going to have to start getting to some of the roots of why you have this negative, pejorative relationship with yourself. Where did that start? How did it get to be where you just basically, I don't want to say hate yourself, but your relationship with yourself is one where you have this constant stream of negativity, okay? Now, the goal, of course, is to start balancing, excuse me, let me try that again. Balance that out with some positive self-talk, or at minimum, some neutral self-talk. Because remember, positive and negative is not the only options we have. We have the option of having neutrality, being neutral in between the extremes. Something that a lot of people aren't aware of. So negative self-talk, one of the first ways to manage negative self-talk is to be aware that you have negative self-talk. Now, how do we become aware of that? Let's go back to one of my previous live streams on mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Thinking about your thinking, being aware of what you think and feel. Why is that important? The only way you're going to be able to work on your self-talk is to be aware of what the heck you're talking about, what is going on in your mind, how you're feeling, how you're thinking about yourself. And this is where a lot of people run into problems, because people, generally speaking, do not like being aware of what's in their minds. There was a lead singer for, I believe his name, I can't remember his name, but he sang for Linkin Park, and there's a great quote, and he ended up committing suicide, unfortunately. He said he did everything to avoid being in his head, thinking about what's in his mind. Now, if any of you out there are watching this live, or if you're catching this after I post it, if there are things in your mind that you do not want to face, that is exactly what you should be facing. If there are things that you say on a routine basis, oh no, I don't even want to think about that. I don't even want to get into that. That is what you should be thinking and feeling about and working on with somebody trained that can help you work through it. Okay. I'm not running down life coaches and all these unlicensed, untrained individuals. I'm not saying that. I'm assuming their heart's in the right place, but they are not trained to help you deal with what's in your mind. Just telling someone, oh, be positive, just have positive self-talk, that is not going to generally get you, even not generally get you, what you're looking for by way of relief of what you're feeling. Exactly, Samantha, numbing. Lots of people numb it. And exactly, Samantha's been very open about some of the things she's gone through. But numbing it is a lot of times one of the hallmarks of having things in your mind that you don't want to deal with. Okay. That is one of the main things that happens with people when they have a lot of negative self-talk and they have a really negative relationship with themselves. They're basically treating themselves the way they were treated as a kid. Okay, here's a new comment. Sigrid. Thank you, Sigrid. My mother told me every day that I am dumb and stupid, and I will never amount to anything. Late in life, in my 30s, I went to college and was an honor student. I know better now, but words hurt. Absolutely. Perfect example. Thank you for sharing that, Sigrid. You know why it's okay for Sigrid to share that? She didn't ask for that treatment. She didn't ask for that treatment. She didn't ask for a mother telling her every day that she is dumb and stupid. Imagine that. I mean, imagine this is how we're treating children. If you're watching this, if you are catching this after I post it and you're a parent and you're talking to your children like this, you need to work on that. You need to stop and begin and become aware of why you're doing this. Why are you treating your children the way you were treated? And Sigrid, I don't know if you have kids or whatever, but I'd be interested in whether or not you find that you fall into that sometimes with your kids and how you manage that. But absolutely, words will hurt. And that idea of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Complete nonsense. Complete nonsense. We're teaching our 5-year-old that absolutely his words can hurt people and his words can heal people and his words can help people. And we are aware of how we're interacting with him. We're not perfect. We're not perfect. I certainly didn't have any parenting handbook or had any extraordinary examples of self-aware parents. But be that as it may, like Sigrid is talking about, I was able to work through a lot of that because I chose not to stay in pain and not to pretend that these things didn't happen and bury my head in the sand. As I've talked about before, I used to be a profound self-hater, profound negative self-talker, just profound. I look back on my days in high school when I was being teased and put down and called names and all of these things, how that affected my self-esteem. And it wasn't any better at home, where people were basically telling me that, making me deny my ethnicity, deny that I had different ethnicities in me because of their own issues. And it took me years and years to understand that how I was talking to myself was incredibly unsupportive, incredibly demotivating. And one of the main things that I did when I was on my process of healing was I worked through a lot of that pain that caused that negative self-talk. I began to realize that a lot of those people in my high school that were calling me, that's a whole nother story, moving from a multi-ethnic environment to an all-white high school in Bethesda, Maryland. That was not a good transition for this kid who, no one else looked like me in school. And people are like, what are you? And my God, I've never seen anyone like you. Well, not a good environment. So I internalize a lot of that, but I work through a lot of that, and I'm able to talk about it openly and freely because it's not something that encumbers me. Does that mean I'm perfectly healed and I never have moments of negative self-talk or self-doubt? Absolutely not. But I have skills to manage them. The main one that we talk about over and over on this show or on this live stream is the it's okay pill. I tell myself it's okay. All right, man, it's okay. I call myself man, buddy, dude, whatever it is. And in a way, and I hold myself accountable. I had a 2 days ago, we were late for an appointment and I was stressed out. We had a whole bunch of people waiting for us, and I don't like to be late. We were running behind, and my wife made a comment I thought she was joking at, and I kind of snickered at it, and she didn't like it, and she called me on it. And later, after the meeting, I apologized and I said that was wrong. I shouldn't do that. We all have those issues, but the difference between a lot of people who haven't worked on their issues, is that you're not aware of even this negative self-talk. A lot of my new clients aren't even aware that they have this negative stream of consciousness going on in their minds. So when I start pointing out, wow, I mean, it's pretty harsh what you just said to yourself there. They're like, what do you mean? I do that all the time. And one of the main contributors to mental illness is a negative stream of self-talk and if you have negative relationship with yourself. This is one of the main things that people struggle with. And yes, we need to move into a place where we are working on it. Sigrid is adding, I couldn't have children, but my mother was abused and she passed it on to us kids. I am proud of myself. I proved her wrong. Well, Sigrid, you can always adopt. You can always adopt. Sorry to hear that you couldn't have children, but that doesn't mean that you can't mentor kids. You can't be a big sister if you're so inclined. I mean, but yes, and Sigrid is pointing out exactly what I'm talking about. Her mother was abused and she passed it on to the kids. I would be curious, Sigrid, how your siblings are doing with all of that. I'm glad that you're proud of yourself to be able to say that. Must be very liberating to be able to say that, and that you proved her wrong. I don't know if she's still alive or what kind of relationship you have with her, and how, that's a lot of conflict right there. As I've talked about before, is this idea that by definition, we're supposed to, she's your mother, Sigrid, you're supposed to love her. Well, you know what, Sigrid, whatever negative feelings or whatever negativity you're struggling with your mom, you have every right in the world to have the kind of relationship you choose, okay? Because, well, anyway, we're getting off topic. So let's go with point number 2 about self-talk. So the first thing is you've got to develop self-awareness. You've got to develop awareness of your thinking and feeling and what you're thinking and feeling. Okay, once you do that, then you move into making what you're aware of okay. Saying to yourself, it's okay that that's there. And then you embark on a process of figuring out, now, why is that? Why am I doing that? Now people will ask me, again, and I'll make this clear, why, dude? Why ask why? Why ask why? I don't know. Why does a cancer researcher ask, why is there cancer? How does cancer get formed? The why is an incredibly important thing, because up until a certain point, you're convinced, this is who I am. I hear it all the time. I'm the type of person. I'm the type of person who, and whenever I hear that, what I'm hearing is, are you sure that you know what type of person you are, as opposed to who you were taught to be, how you were taught to think and feel? This is one of the main things that people aren't doing. We are so lost in our minds. We are so lost in who we are. I call it lost in conditioning, that we don't actually step out of it and go, well, wait a minute, wait a second. Why do I think this way? I mean, why am I so extreme? I'm not talking about not having opinions, but when it goes to the extreme point of thinking that you're the only one, that your opinion or your point of view is right and everyone else is wrong, that's where the mindfulness comes in, and that's where the whys come in. That's why that third step in managing your self-talk is so important, because once you begin to realize that the negativity in your mind is just conditioning, is just a habitualized way you have of thinking, that's when you begin to step out of it slowly and realize there's another way I could relate to myself. There's another way that I could talk to myself. But these things take time and practice. And you know what society we live in, good people. Quick fix. I want it. I want to read a book and I'm healed and everything is fine. And I'm sorry, for the majority of people, it just doesn't work that way. It doesn't. You need to spend time getting into the negativity in your mind. This is what is fueling the self-talk. Imagine self-talk is like pus in an infected cut. Okay, this is what's going on in most people's psyche. We have these infected, unhealed emotional wounds pumping out this stream of consciousness of self-doubt, pessimism, hostility, anger, hatred, and all of it is being pumped out. And usually it's first directed at me, and then it comes out in the world around us. The key to managing self-talk, people, is being aware of what you're thinking and feeling. This is a key component to why a lot of people stay stuck in their own habitualized thinking. Sigrid is saying, LOL, I'm 60 years old. I gotcha. I don't have a relationship with her. Yeah, my siblings don't either. My siblings didn't pass it on to their kids. Beautiful, because it is wrong. Be kind to yourself. Absolutely. Great, Sigrid. Well, your picture, I didn't know you were 60. Your picture looks a lot younger. That's what I was saying about adopting. Yeah, we don't want to be 60 and adopting. I'm 56 and have a 5-year-old, and we love him to life. I hate saying to death, but to life. And but we are my wife and I are definitely from the one and done club, because he's a handful, but we love him. So, but yeah, and I have made a conscious effort, Sigrid. I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I'm just pronouncing it as it's spelled, but make a conscious effort to not pass on what I learned from my parents. I'm not saying they were all bad. I'm not saying my father worked and, we went in, we were middle class and didn't struggle a lot financially, but the emotional and psychological deficits that, wow. I mean, wow. I think it takes becoming a parent to really become aware of what deficits you had being raised. So, but again, like I said, my parents certainly weren't all bad by any stretch of the imagination, but there were a lot of key things that definitely did not need to happen that caused a lot, and still to some degree cause pain and struggle. But what can you do, right, Sigrid? You got to, like you said, you have to learn to be kind to yourself. But that comment alone right there, or that part of your comment alone, Sigrid, about being kind to yourself, that isn't easy for a lot of people. Self-hate, I say this with a lot of my clients and people who know what I do for work. They ask me, well, what do you see as one of the common things that people struggle with? And it's different levels of self-hatred. Self-hatred is one of the most pervasive negative states of mind, mental illnesses that people struggle with. This, I hate myself. I can't deal with who I am. I hate I hate my life. I hate my bald head. I hate my imperfect teeth. I hate whatever. And we just go on and on into these struggles with who we are, when we don't even realize that a lot of that self-hatred is conditioned behavior. Okay, again, if you're watching this live, please ask a question. Please make a comment. Please share this on your timeline so we can pull in some more people to have a discussion about how to work on the negativity in our mind. Today, I'm focusing in on self-talk, the negative self-talk that we say to ourselves over and over. And an interesting sidebar on this is that a lot of people don't really understand that the process of being aware of your self-talk is a pendulum, meaning that there are times when you're going to be aware of it, and there are other times you're going to be lost in it. And what I've seen happen with a lot of people is when they get lost back in that Woo, woo, woo. And then they realize they're back in it. They give up. They say, oh, this is never going to happen. This is because I had it and then I lost it. But that's the key. If you look at it in terms of working out, up, down, in, out, you need that positive and negative. It's called in exercising, doing positives and negatives. You need that back and forth to build a habit of being aware of when you're falling into the negativity, when you're falling into the negative self-talk. That is the key, is to allow yourself time to go back and forth from mindlessness to mindfulness, mindlessness to mindfulness. That's the key, is realizing, oh, great, I caught it again. And if you got to catch it 100 times a day, 200 times an hour, whatever it is, that's the work. You're grooving neural pathways. That's why brain plasticity is so important to behavioral change, because what we're doing on a daily basis when we're not aware of what we're thinking and feeling is we're literally just going down pathways in our perfectly honed pathways in our mind that don't have anywhere else to go. So it takes time to carve out new pathways in order to think and feel a different way. And that process is what we're talking about tonight, being conscious of when you're falling into it, dealing with the roots of it. And I'm doing a quick, this is a lot of work. There's like saying, okay, well, pick up that weight and do the exercise. Oh, that's how I'll have big arms. Yeah, but you got to do the exercise. Okay. So let me see here. Samantha had a comment before. Let me see here. Let me get to that. I danced in front of my parents' graves because I won. Okay, well, yeah, there you go, Sam. Well, Samantha, it sounds like, you went through some negativity with them. You went through some early childhood trauma or trauma that caused you, and you've been open about some of your struggles with substance abuse. And now that you're clean, I would imagine that if you had that type of relationship with your parents, by the way, it's not you had the relationship, they had the relationship with you. Key distinction that, yeah, you do feel like you won because either you healed a lot of that or they're not around to hurt you anymore. I had a gentleman the other day who, for the first time in his whole life, he was able to verbalize how he feels about his mom, how he had just the negativity she brings into his life. But he had been in so conflict with that because of his ethnicity that he couldn't even admit it. And just being able to talk about that in an open, unjudgmental way helped free him of a lot of that guilt. Not permanently, but it helped take a little bit of that out. So Peggy's saying, I'm getting more in touch with the adult, wise, healthy self. Beautiful. I'm reparenting. Beautiful. Yeah, it's a great book. I'm reparenting all of these parts of me that I have such a strong voice in my life. I tell these parts of me, thank you, I hear you, I love you, and thank you for protecting me. But these parts of me can now rest while I prove to them that the adult part of me will keep us safe. Practice. I'm sad because I had none of this while raising my children. I hear you. I hear you. Creating new neural pathways. Exactly. Hard stuff. I pray my healing trickles down. Beautiful, Peggy. Beautiful. Keep doing that work, sister. Keep grooving that swing. Remember that in a sports metaphor, you got to be practicing those jump shots. You got to be out on the driving range hitting balls. You got to be running patterns. Practice. That's great. And reparenting is a great way of looking at it, because we do have to reparent ourselves, meaning we have to deal with ourselves in the way we wish we were parented. We have to talk to ourselves the way we would talk to somebody we love. And that is a key component of the intrapersonal psychology model, the model of going into who you are, who you were taught to be, and reworking that. And it is not a quick fix. I'm sorry, it's not going to come from a book written by somebody who has no experience in the field and is talking about things out there, thinking that it's just not going to happen. Okay. You got to do the work, people. You got to work on it on a daily basis through some of these techniques we're talking about. Andre, hey, Andre, how you doing? Never seen you here before. No, I've seen you here before, actually. If you talk to your friends like you talk to yourself, would you have exactly what I ask my patients a lot of times is if you treated your friends the way you treat yourself, what kind of relationship would you have? But most people aren't even aware, paraphrase from the gorilla mindset. Well, whoever whoever the gorilla mindset author is probably got that from someone else. But anyway, but yeah, that's one of the basic tenets of intrapersonal psychology, is the idea that you have to talk to yourself and relate to yourself in a way that you would talk to someone else that you care about. Okay. And that's one of the keys to doing a lot of this work, is how you relate to you. So Andre, how do you relate to yourself, man? Do you talk to yourself are you more aware of that? Are you more aware of your relationship with yourself? Peggy's saying, yes, self-hate, the subconscious. Absolutely. Steve, hey, Steve, how you doing? From getting a lot of YouTube participation. Awesome. Steve is saying, often find that whenever that inner dialogue starts, instead of immediately judging myself, I imagine a dear friend saying the same words and how it encouraged them to think of the opposite. Absolutely, Steve. I would just, tweak that a little bit by saying, make it okay first. Make it okay that part of you, that negative inner dialogue, is there, and see if you can work on a few of the roots. Mainly, how did it get there? But the thing is, you can't hate that it's there. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but I highly recommend people that you don't hate what's in your mind, because as I've talked about before, that's literally adding negative to a negative, and that's compounding the negativity. So I'm not saying to love it, but again, remember, love, hate, and neutral, you can always go to neutral by accepting it and working on it. So that's great, Steve, but that's great mindfulness, man. Being able to be aware of it, not to judge yourself, and then rework it so that you can use it to your benefit. You can use it to grow from. That's beautiful, Steve. Thanks for sharing that, man. Feel free to add some more. Hey, what's up, Andrew? Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I appreciate your dedication. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate it. Andre, thanks please share this if you're watching this live. If you really want to help out, share this so people can become aware. Hey, let's talk about our mental health. Let's talk about what's going on in our mind. There's nothing to be ashamed about it. If I was a dentist and we were talking about our dental health, nobody would be ashamed of that. If I was a cardiologist and we're talking about our heart health, nobody would be ashamed of that. Mental health affects everything we do. The mentality of our population is why we have the insanity that we have. That there's a group of people that actually believe that other politicians are eating children. I mean, anyway, but we need to work on why people are so polarized, okay? We need to figure that out. And it starts with each individual. I don't want to channel Michael Jackson here, but it absolutely starts with the man in the mirror. And I mean the mind of the man in the mirror or the woman in the mirror. What am I thinking and feeling? But we are not allowed, but we are not encouraged to talk about our negative thoughts and emotions. We're not. We don't seem to have that in our culture, where people talk about their insecurities, their doubts, their fears. Well, here's a forum to do it. And please share this if you're watching this, okay? Yes, Steve, well said, Andre, absolutely. Samantha's saying they should have been thrown under the jail multiple times over and over. Wow, Sam, that sounds like a lot of crap you went through. I would imagine, I don't know if it's still affecting you to a large degree, but Samantha, if it's still affecting you, you got to make it okay. You got to say to yourself, it's okay that some of that trauma is still affecting me, because I didn't ask for the trauma. I didn't ask for this. I'm not going to beat myself up for still being affected by crap that was hurled onto me, and I had no choice in it. So yes, they should have been, absolutely. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. I'm 56 years old, and a lot of what parenting was back in my day, and even in my parents' day, would be considered child abuse. People don't realize that now, that if I go upstairs and start beating on my wife physically, and my son watches that, and somehow that gets to the authorities, they can take him away, because that's considered child abuse now. Witnessing domestic violence is considered child abuse. Tell that to the amount of dishes I saw flying growing up. But anyway, so let's say, hey, Miranda, how are you? Thanks. Never late, too late. Hey, Kat, how are you? Let us know how things are going. Andre's saying, done, shared with a bro. Thanks, man. Thanks. Just learn how to catch that negative self-talk. Beautiful. Being mindful of those negative habits is step one. Absolutely. Then recording my thoughts on paper and reading later. Absolutely. Absolutely. The book I found to be helpful was, Steve is saying, The Four Agreements. Absolutely. Don Miguel, baby. That book was very instrumental early in my development. I've subsequently looked back on it. It's, it's good, great advice, but it's a little too extreme in the sense of never taking things personally. That's a high bench. That's a high bar to manage. But absolutely, The Four Agreements, if you've never heard of it, Don Miguel Ruiz, I believe his name is. But yeah, that's a great book. But again, one of the things I've learned in my 20 plus years of in the field is we don't need to be polarized with our thinking. You're never going to eliminate negative self-talk. You have to accept that that's part of positive self-talk. That's part of neutral self-talk. You're not going to eliminate it. The key is managing it. How many times have you guys seen ads for anger elimination? Take this class and you can eliminate your anger. None. It's always anger management. Why? Because obviously you're not going to eliminate anger from your mind. But why is it that now had that same mentality isn't for negativity? Because you eliminate negativity, it's not going to happen, people. The reason most self-helpers or people who have no training in the field tell people to eliminate negativity is because they don't know how to deal with it. They don't know how to sit through it. If you're ever working with a self-helper, coach, whatever, spirit, and you want to see how quickly they don't know how to do, tell them you're thinking of killing yourself. That will immediately make it clear that they don't know how to deal with negativity. Look, okay, I know I rail against a lot of this and I apologize for that. The only problem is when you're in the field and you see information that is pushing people in the wrong direction, you want to be the guy on the tracks going, whoa, no, don't come down here. Try to avoid any goal that is the elimination of negative thoughts and emotions. It's not going to happen. You're never going to be able to eliminate negative self-talk. Why do you think I titled it How to Manage Your Self-Talk? Because it's not going to eliminate it. Now, you can absolutely tone it down. You can turn down some of that volume. Remember, it's not an on-off switch, it's a dial. You can definitely dial it down. But the key to mental health is accepting mental illness in you and working on it and looking at it from a different frame of mind. And I'm going to get into, a level of this I wasn't planning on talking about, but the negative self-talk that you have is actually a catalyst to help you focus on your positive self-talk. It's the idea that there's nothing without its opposite. Everything implies its opposite. Everything. Okay. It reminds me of when I was in my training program, there was a very gifted psychologist who took me aside and said, hey, everybody thinks that, you really got your blank together in this program, but I want to hear the other side. I want to hear what you struggle with. And I was like, wow, beautiful. Thank you. That's exactly right. And I was able to start incorporating that instead of denying it. So look, negative self-talk is an important part of who we are. Positive self-talk is an important part of who we are. Neutral self-talk is an important part of who we are. Trying to eliminate it is the worst possible strategy you can do because you're not going to be able to eliminate it. Managing it. Remember, no classes on anger elimination. Why? Because anger is hardwired into us. Anger is an important part of our survival mechanism. If Neanderthal man, which I've been said I look like a lot, which I take as a compliment, Neanderthal man was dum-de-dum, I don't get angry about anything. Oh, no. How long do you think he or she would have lasted? The negativity is important, people. You got to learn how to manage it. Okay, getting a lot of good comments today. So let's see. I'm okay because I did not cause it. Beautiful, beautiful, Samantha. Exactly. But it's okay that if it's still affecting you. Andre saying often turns out to be ridiculous and helps me remind myself that I am capable of growth development just like anyone else. Absolutely, my brother. You got to keep reminding yourself of that, Andre. And whatever that part of you, Andre, that is that negative self presence in you, you can't hate it and wish it was gone, brother. You got to learn from it. Any deep spiritual belief will tell you about, we'll talk about the shadow presence in all of us. You got to learn to be at peace with it. It's like Jews and Muslims, thousands of years trying to eliminate each other. How's that going? Blacks and whites, Republicans and Democrats, them libtards would be gone. Everything would be great. Them crazy Trump supporters would be, ain't going to happen, people. We need to learn and figure out how we incorporate the negativity in us into us. All right. No, not Kat. Oh, so hey, tell us who's out tonight, Kat. Samantha saying, Penny, I was raised in a bubble and was told either way you aren't coordinated. Oh, wow. Yeah, so that's a lot of, hey, Aurora, how are you? I hope you guys are being nice to Kat. Those of you who don't know, Kat is has dissociative identity disorder, and she's got a magnified version of what we all have. Everyone has a degree of dissociative identity disorder, multiple selves, multiple personalities. Everyone has that, okay? The problem is, when you get traumatized the way Kat was, blah, it all gets stirred up and fragmented, and it gets into this idea that I have these multiple different parts of me. We all have multiple selves, people. We need to work on them and incorporate them into them. People are, Sigrid is saying, people are afraid to share their feelings because they are afraid of being labeled and judged. Exactly. It keeps them trapped. Yes, you are saying my name correctly. Okay, great. You're right, Sigrid, but we need to move free. We have to move beyond that, because a lot of times it's not only afraid of being labeled or judged, it's the self-imposed labels. It's a self-imposed judgment. It's the negative self-talk. Oh man, I'm such a loser. I'm such an idiot. And I see this with a lot of men I've worked with. Men who have varying degrees of sexuality, men who are predominantly straight, but have either gay or bi curiosities or whatever. That freaks them out. They have no idea how to manage a lot of that. And that's an example of being able to incorporate a whole wide range of spectrums into us instead of needing to be either or. I'm going to do a live stream on the plurality of selves versus the unified self. The idea that a lot of people are trying to have a unified, I'm one self. I'm Dr. Stephen Walker, and I'm supposed to have every aspect of myself perfectly put together, and I have no issues. And oh my God, if I have any insecurities or anger or whatever, then who am I? No, plurality of selves is the healthy part, because what you begin to realize is we have multiple components to our personality. Negative self-talk a lot of times is the unhealed, painful parts of us that we're not dealing with, that we're not talking about, that we need to talk about. Okay, that is the key, but we don't live in that kind of culture that accepts negativity. With painkillers, look at the idea of a painkiller. Think of that word, painkiller. I mean, you cannot, excuse me, you can't kill pain. You can manage pain, but the idea that, excuse me, that we should never experience any pain, or that there are doctors out there telling patients, oh no, don't wait to feel the pain. Take it before you feel the pain. Take it before you feel the pain. Why the hell do you think we have this crisis? Why do you think we have this opioid crisis? Because people don't want to feel any negativity, any pain. So back to the talk, self-talk, negative self-talk, managing your self-talk. And the same thing can go for positive self-talk. If you've got nonstop positive self-talk and you're, you know what, don't think, stink, and you're the cat's meow and everyone's wrong but you and blah, you need to work on that. You need to figure out, well, wait a second, why am I so arrogant? Why am I so convinced that everything I say is correct and that there's no deviation in my points of view? Polarization in our thinking is what's causing most of the problems in our society, needing to be either or. I can't be wrong. No, like the example I gave 2 days ago with my wife in the car. No, I'm not wrong. No, I have absolutely every right in the world. Where are you going? Okay, sorry, my son's going to the bathroom. Live stream. Now I lost my train of thought. Yeah, polarization. We can't allow ourselves to be polarized in one way or the other, because that's when things go off the chains. And you see it on all these right-wing, left-wing podcasts where everyone is so, this is who I, everything is this way. And I don't allow any contrary thoughts to exist in my mind, because that causes me to, oh my God, who am I? Who am I? If I allow myself to have a liberal thought or a conservative thought, check out demopublicans.org if you ever get a chance, okay? Demopublicans, just like it sounds, demopublicans.org. Anyway, let's see. Andre's saying top tips for catching yourself engaged in negative self-talk. Practice, practice, practice. Andre, take time during the day to be aware. Mindfulness. Pick up books on mindfulness. The idea of there's two forms, and I did it, or look at my live stream a few weeks ago on mindfulness. Okay, the upper level of mindfulness is what we in the mental health field try to help people develop: metacognition, thinking about your thinking. The Buddhists coined this idea of becoming a witnessing presence of your mind. That's the top tip. Practice being aware of what you're thinking about. Pick up a meditation app. Practice mindfulness, meditation, thinking, sitting, letting your mind drift, being aware that being conscious of what you're thinking about. The example I use with a lot of my clients is racism. There are no born racists. My 5-year-old peeing right now doesn't have a racist bone in his body. But if I tell him, oh no, you better hate on them purple people or all those green people or all them whatever people, he's going to identify with that. He's going to begin to think that that's who he is. And as that grows, that becomes his self-identity. But mindfulness, the racist who doesn't want to be a racist anymore, who stops and thinks, well, wait a minute, my father shouldn't have told me that all green people suck. They start questioning the conditioning, like I call it. They begin to become more self-aware. So my answer to you, Andre, practice, 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 okay? If I'm your golf coach, I'm going to tell you, go out and hit some balls. I'm going to tell you to go out. Don't worry about it, buddy. Sit down. It's just a mess. It's just Papa's bills, okay? I know.
What is that under your feet?
This?
Yeah.
Oh, this? You drew this for me. Look at that. Guess who the big-headed ball guy is? That's me. No, that's you. This is you right here. Wait a minute. It's always backwards. That's you. That's me. Remember that? Thanks, buddy. Anyway, so that's my tip, Andre. Practice, 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 okay? Be aware of the negative self-talk. Go to the roots. Figure it out where I learned that. Kat saying, I apologize. Our little was out. I didn't know she came in. Hi, everyone. Hey, Kat, how are you? Welcome back. Remember, Kat, you're the hub of the wheel, sister. You're the hub of the wheel. Steve is saying, oh, Dr. Steven, I do also agree with the points you're making, not eliminating negative feelings. I've started to make peace with the duality of life. Exactly. The yin yang. Oh, wow. You spelled yin right. Beautiful. Most people say yin. Yin yang. Great. And can't exist without the other. Absolutely, brother. But remember, Steve, there's singularity, duality, triality, multiality. Okay. So yeah, get into all those parts of you, my brother. Learn to have them live together, like I keep encouraging Kat to do. Kat needs to start moving towards integration, realizing that she's the hub of the wheel. But that takes work, especially when you've been traumatized. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see. Just want to make sure I get to everything before I close out. Steve is saying, I also believe that a lot of growth comes from pain. Absolutely. It smashes our version of reality, and that newer building versions of ourselves can be liberating. That wouldn't come had we stayed complacent. Beautiful. Sounds like Steve-O has done some work on himself. I'll tell you, because that right there is an indication that somebody's done some self-work. Being able to reframe the pain as helping us grow. That takes work. It's not just a bumper sticker. Being able to move from post-traumatic stress disorder to post-traumatic growth is exactly what Steve's talking about. Life's a beach. Life a beach. Must control. LOL. I am like that also. What must you control, life? Tell us what you're trying to control. Peggy is saying, I'm thankful for the angry part of me. She loves me enough to step in when pain is unbearable. The angry part of me loves all of me so much that she steps in ready to kick some butt. I would say it, but my 5-year-old's looking at me. And take names. I feel unconditional love for the first time today when I realized how much of the parts of me have my back. Great. So that's what loyalty feels like. Beautiful, Peggy, absolutely. That's exactly what it feels like. Unconditional self-love is takes a lot of work, okay? But that's great. Keep practicing it. It's not a one and done. You got to keep grooving that, Peggy. Awareness by, that's a good book. I have that on my, where is that? Yeah, that's a good book. Awareness by Anthony DeMello is a good one that I read and need to read. Yes, absolutely, life. That's beautiful. Did I lend that out somewhere? I haven't seen that in a while. Anyway, yeah, that's a good one. Anthony DeMello, Awareness. It's a good one. Diego, catch myself. Oh, Diego, you just reminded me, man, I didn't respond to your text. Sorry about that. But yes, that meme you sent me was spot on, brother. Spot on. Life at Beach, could you maybe talk about how to excuse me, to channel rage appropriately? It's hard to find a therapist who is okay with it. Well, you got to, before we start talking about channeling rage, we got to talk about, just put them here. We have to talk about what are you talking about rage? Like, if you're talking about rage at other people, if you're talking about what level of rage, before I start giving advice on how to channel rage appropriately, my brother or sister, we got to figure out like what you're so angry about. What's the source of that? What is there? Is it a lot of that rage directed inwardly, outwardly? So before I start talking about channeling rage appropriately, we would have to have a discussion on what life a beach is so angry about, or whatever, because rage is obviously a more elevated level of anger. But I would imagine if you were going to ask me for a specific example of how to channel rage appropriately, if it's not directed at somebody else, meaning you're not outwardly hurting someone else, if you're not channeling that rage inwardly and you're trying to use that energy towards a project, then that is something we could discuss. But again, you're talking about a very difficult thing to channel rage. What you looking at, boy? Sorry, my son just staring at me. You're going to be doing this soon. Okay. Remember, you're going to be doing all of this soon. All right. Before I start giving advice on channeling rage, I'd have to have a chat with you. We'd have to figure out what's going on with it and what your goals are. Okay. But thanks for the question. I appreciate that. Let's see. Kat saying, I hope Aurora wasn't too hyper. She can be handful. Yes, Kat, and you are the hub of the wheel, sister. You are the hub of the wheel that needs to remember that you're in charge. Okay. Let's see. Peggy is saying, love that, Steve. Yes, yes, yes. To Steve. Thank you so much, Dr. Steven. You're a good man. I appreciate that, Steve. Say that to yourself, my brother. Thank you. Do you always do these live streams every Thursday? Tuesday and Thursday, my brother. I always forget when to tune in. It's 2 a.m. in the UK. Whoa. Say hi to my friend Pete. Pete is in the UK. I love the UK. My wife and I were there for our honeymoon. We stayed right off Trafalgar Square. Had a great time. A little pricey. Did all the tourist stuff. But I love my UK counterparts. Yes, Steve. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 p.m. East Coast. All right. Life's a beat. Okay, thanks for the feedback, Doc. It's more about controlling my reactions to agitators. Oh, okay. Well, again, but see, that's another layer, brother or sister, because what I'm hearing is that, agitators, bulliers, people who agitate you stir up some trauma. So you might want to look into that. Okay. Jay is saying, I have negative self-talk as well. I'm 16 years old. Great, Jay. Thanks, brother. I appreciate you tuning in. 16 is an awesome age to be working on yourself. And I feel like I have two people inside of me, but not multiple personality. I hear you. I'm a person that is determined, works hard, thinks positively, and more. When I am sad in this state, I get depressed. I'm either this or another person who is unmotivated, stresses, doesn't care about anything, doesn't think, and turns depression into anger. Great, Jay. Thanks. First off, let me say this to you, Jay, as a 16-year-old. I don't know if you said you're a man or a woman, but I'll just say this, okay? What you're feeling is natural. Okay, that feeling of being a dual personality, having those split personalities, that is a very natural thing. So all I'm going to encourage you as a 16-year-old is you got to chill I can't say it, the blank out, and start taking it easy on yourself and realize that this is something that I need to start working on. Okay. Like you said, you don't have multiple, I mean, you might have multiple personality disorder. I don't know. I don't know if you have had any trauma, but the main thing I would encourage you to do right now is okay, you're a male. The main thing I would encourage you to do, Jay, is to not hate that depression, that negativity. Okay, if you start hating it, you're feeding it negative emotion and it will grow from that. Okay, am I saying to love it? Absolutely not either. But remember, love, hate, and neutrality. You can always pick the middle road, Jay, and start accepting it. Accept it and start working on it. There's something going on with you, bro, where when you get depressed, you're either this or another person, you're unmotivated, you stress. I don't know what's going on with your parents. I don't know how much of your pressure you're putting on you. I have a high school and my doctors think that this causes, I have HS. Oh, okay. Sorry. I thought you did high school. I don't know if this helps. Well, it could, I'm assuming, I don't know, the HS stands for a lot of things. So if it's a medical condition with the one that I'm assuming that it might be an STD, it could be part of that. You could be feeling some effects of that. But Jay, the main thing, and I got to run here soon, but the main thing, my brother, is you've got to give yourself time to, okay, great. Well, then, yeah, it could, and I'm not hydrodentist support. I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. There's so many conditions. I think it's something with your skin or something like that. But yeah, then you want to look into what those side effects are. Maybe Jay's hating himself for having this condition. Maybe there's something going on with Jay that he hates that he has this condition. Maybe the medication for it is causing it. I don't know. But all I'm going to say, brother, as a 16-year-old evolving soul, great that you're on here. Great that you're working on your thinking. Just pump the brakes. You got a long way to go to begin working on, internal family systems therapy. Yeah, that's a good one. I read that book when I first started, Peggy. Great. That's a great one. Yeah. But Jay, all I'm saying is, just take it easy on Jay. I don't know what else is going on, but remember, you got a long road here, my brother. You got a long road to figure yourself out, and you're just starting. But yeah, the main thing at this point is try to reduce how much you're hating that negative part of you. If you feel you need a little bit more time, more help, tell your parents, get a counselor, find someone to work it through. There's nothing wrong with having issues. Oh, okay. It's an autoimmune disorder. Okay. All right. Well, that's going to be a challenge because, the inflammation, it could be a byproduct of that. So I would look into it more. But the main thing I want to leave you with, my brother, and come back on Tuesday night, let us know how things are going, is you got to work on Jay's relationship with Jay. Okay. If you feel the negativity sometimes is overpowering you, is you okay? You want to come up here and say goodnight? Okay, in a minute. If you feel the negativity is overpowering you, my brother, you got to come and get some help with somebody. You got to say, Mom and Dad, listen, I'm overwhelmed or whatever, and talk it out. Talk things out. You got to talk things out. Work on that. All right, Jay? Well, thanks for your comments. Thank you for everyone for logging on live. I'll make sure my mic is on next time. But anyway, and again, remember, I'm on every Tuesday and Thursday Find your time zone here. Remember my Help a Human Fund, please. If you have the ability to help somebody else, contribute to this fund, and I can use it to help other people, helpahuman.org. All right. All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining me tonight. I hope this helped, being just a preliminary foray into the self-talk and how to manage it. And I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys next week on Tuesday night. And we will. Oh, here's the next generation. You want to say anything to everybody?
I love you.
Oh, that's nice, Bubba. He's learning the importance of love and how to talk to himself. All right, boo-boo. Say good night.
Good night.
All right, everybody. I'll see you Tuesday night. Take care. Peace. Make a funny face.